Hello, my name is Martyr, and this is Let's Play TinyKeep, and thank you for watching. TinyKeep is a roguelike action game, guys, where you play a prisoner who is trying to escape his horrible fate. He wants to see the outside world, but to do that, he has to face an army of monsters. And you're probably going to die from the sheer overwhelming force that you have to face with your little tiny sword and shield. It's a game that doesn't necessarily always play fairly when it comes to being a roguelike, but you'll see what I mean by that in a bit. It released on Steam September 2014. It was developed by Phigames and published by Digital Tribe. You can go ahead and get TinyKeep for the sale price of $9.89 currently, or $14.99 when the sale ends. Now, I've been playing the game for about an hour now, guys, and that's giving me about 3 decent runs. And the first run I completely sucked at. You kind of have to, you literally start out with no sword and shield, and you have to figure out what to do from there. But the thing is that I feel like the game sometimes is actively almost working against you. It's trying to trick you. How about that? So like when I first started, like I would face every monster and kill every monster in my way. And that's a huge mistake. You almost need to treat this game almost like as if it was a speedrun game. The best way, I would almost say that it is almost like kind of like a speedrun game, because you're not necessarily trying to fight the monsters. You're going to die that way. You're trying to survive. And that is one thing that a lot of people I've noticed have come into issue with when it comes to this game. Is that there is a permadeath aspect to it all, and you will literally have to start over and over again from the very beginning as you play this game. Now, I know there's like a patch coming out that they said they're going to change that a little bit, but for now, in the original state that this game is in, it is a permadeath game. So that means you die, you start over again from square one, and then it's basically random again from the beginning all over, which is going to be good for some people, bad for others. But let's get into it, shall we? This is some of the game options right here. There's more game options in the game itself. You have some resolution manipulation here, basically a quality slider as far as the graphics go. You're gonna hit new game and start going. There's a new game plus mode if you do manage to beat the game, which adds, I'm sure, of a hell of a lot more difficulty and a hell of a lot more action, as it were. So we're gonna name my guy here. Now there is a little bit like a character generator here. It's really just kind of minute. You can kind of play around with the character you want to make him, what way you would like to make him look. I made a green mustached bald dude because, you know, that right there, that curly mustache, is the pimpinest. You have some, just some options here. It's a nice touch. I'm not really sure, like, you don't really get to look at your character all that much, so I don't really, it's kind of weird that they put this in here, but I appreciate it nonetheless. You could also be a girl if you wanted to be. She's hideous. Alright, so let's go ahead and start. And you can see what the game is like here. Like I said, the game does have, that roguelike aspect where each of the dungeons it generates is, procedurally generated, as well as somewhere of the trap placements and all the things that might be in those rooms as well. But for the most part, when you first start the game out, you have, well, one thing to look forward to as far as the first level, and that is finding your sword and shield. And that's where I feel the game doesn't necessarily always do a good job. It doesn't really explain things very, very clearly to you. Like, you need to find your sword and shield in the first level. If you pass the first level without finding your sword and shield, you're not gonna have a sword and shield for the rest of the game. And this right here is little dialogue. You find little scrolls explaining to you what's going on, and you're kind of following in the footsteps of this chick named Maggie, who is also a prisoner and who's also escaping. It kind of gives you almost like a narrative to what's going on. And I've listened to that about 4 times now. Which is another thing, is like every time you play the game, you have to listen to that chick and listen to her notes over and over again, which can be slightly frustrating. So right here, already I've started playing the game and I'm already under attack by this archer. This is what I was talking about, where I said the game doesn't necessarily always play fairly. Like, for instance, I'm already just being brutally attacked by that guy. So if you don't mind, I'm going to explain to you what you're looking at here in a bit, but first, I've got to find my sword, which I'm doing a terrible time at right now. And I'm being hit from behind many, many times. I think that's the sword up there. Thank God.
I had to.
Okay, now I can kill these guys. Bastards for terrorizing me. There we go. Alright, now that I got my sword here, as you can see, first and foremost, you're going to have to run. And that's why I said it has like a speed game aspect to it all, because if you stay still, you're gonna die very quickly. So I'm actually gonna go back to the first room and hide in here for you to explain to you what you're looking at right here. Now, if you're looking at the controllers and probably confused, I'm not using my Xbox controller. It does feature controller support, but I could not get my controller to work. It just didn't recognize my Logitech controller. I used X360 CE, didn't work either. But for some reason, it still displays the fact that I am using a Xbox 360 controller, even though I'm not. I'm actually using the controller and mouse, keyboard and mouse. And that's one thing that I will say is a bit of an issue, is to kind of discovering what the buttons do. Like, I think if you have, there's a very specific button you have to press for you to actually see what the controls are. And I don't even remember what those are. I kind of figured out what the controls were kind of on my own, just by playing the game. Yeah, I have no idea. So, this is the other options here available to you, by the way. Like I said, there's just a little bit more customization of, you know, volumes and all that good stuff when you're actually in the game. And that's basically all the options we have to speak of. Now, on what you're looking at, as far as what you're looking at here, on the top left up there is my health, that big orange bar. On the top right, we have a compass. Below that, we have the Y button, which is apparently show map button, which is not accurate. That would be actually my tab button that shows the map there. And there's the map itself. There's a timer, and the bottom right has my gold amount. Now, what are we supposed to do? Well, there is a staircase somewhere in this level that we have to get to. That may be behind a gate. We maybe need to find a key for. Usually for the first level, you don't have to find a key or everything of the sort. All you really need to do is just make it there alive and get to it. So we're gonna go ahead and do that now. Like I said, all the levels are kind of procedurally randomly generated, and like I said, it try tricks you. Like it makes you think, oh, I should fight all the enemies. You don't have to fight all the enemies. You really should just kill what you can. If you can, you know, if you have the advantage over an enemy, take advantage of that. If you are outnumbered, run. That is the best advice. Now, I could basically left click to swing my sword. If I had my shield, I would hold the right button to lift up my shield. I can also move around, swing the camera, and hold shift down to run at higher speed. So we're going to try to find a shield. There's my shield. And that is it. That is essentially everything you're going to find as far as your weaponry in defense in this game for a long time. Now, from what I understand, there is weapons in the game, but they are much later on in the game. So we're going to go ahead and kill this guy. I will say that each of the enemies kind of behaves a little bit different. Like archers try to run away and get an advantage basically from a distance. There's and, you know, melee characters. Usually you'll find archers and melee characters. Each of them kind of behaves a different way. Melee characters, of course, just charge at you, and archers are always like trying to run away from you. But that's as far as the monsters I've encountered thus far. And I made it to about level 5, I want to say. Not too deep into the game, but, you know, decent enough to get a good idea of what monsters are like. There's also like boss monsters that you can face, or like humongous ass creatures as well. Now, there is traps in the game, as you can see right here, for instance. Let me just run over this. There you go. That can hurt you, but they can also, if you time things correctly. Let's see, like for instance, you know what? He's just being very clever right now. I'm trying to get this guy to walk over this trap here, but he's just having none of it. So yeah, sometimes you can. God damn it! Get off me, dude! Get off me, brah! Sometimes you can trick your enemies to walking into the traps. It depends on the situation and the trap itself, and it does encourage you to use the traps against your enemies to kind of defeat them or kill them. And you can use traps, pretty much all the traps, in some way or form against your enemies. Just hopefully you really kind of get lucky and hope that sometimes the enemies will run into them. There is no active way to push the enemies into the trap. You just kind of have to almost seemingly guide the enemy into the traps. Take that, you scoundrel. Now, one thing to note is that the enemies kind of can spawn somewhat infinitely. Like, for instance, I had already gone through this room, and there was no enemies there. Well, now there is. So you can be quickly, god dang it, quickly overwhelmed. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, there is a jump button. I'm not really sure what the point of the jump button is, other than to avoid traps. Now, I have been collecting gold. I've got about 30 gold here. And what gold is for, let's see if we can go ahead and actually find one of these things. is for these wells that exist in the game that you can use to upgrade your character. So I found the stairs to the next level, and I also found a well. Now it says X to do that. Now that's not true. I'm pressing E to get that well to activate its effect. Now I got fortified body. You'll feel harder and be able to take on more damage. All those buffs are completely random as to which one you'll get. Sometimes you'll get, a buff that helps you out massively. Sometimes you get a buff that just completely sucks. And again, it's just completely random. Now there is also sometimes little random events you can find. Like for instance, we found some prisoners here who we can either, open the door and see if they'll help us. Sometimes they can turn against us. Let's just go ahead and help them out. He has decided to join me in my escape. Decided to join me. Decided to join me. And has gone on a murderous rage. So my followers are going to beat the crap out of that person now. And I got 3 followers. Now, I'm not sure if these followers stay with you into the next area, but I usually find that followers are kind of dumb. They die very quickly, very easily, and they're not necessarily the world's greatest tool to use. They do work pretty well as a meat shield. Now, like I said, the game's just kind of like it's like a speed running game. You don't necessarily want to explore the level completely. Sometimes you don't even necessarily want to fight all the enemies. You just want to make it to that staircase, because other than the buffs that you get from wells, there isn't necessarily any benefit to exploring the level itself, which is good and bad sometimes, because you kind of find yourself just kind of running through levels very quickly in the game and not necessarily giving a shit about what's going on, which it's okay. It's just, they did painstakingly design these levels and the graphics and all that. My followers did not follow me. That's kind of silly. Alright, so I have no followers again. That's fine. As far as the graphics go, they kind of remind me of the N64. They're just very, like, big heads and all that. They're just very simplistic looking characters. They're not the world's most complicated, most beautiful looking characters. Oh, for God's sakes, all this crap in my way is preventing me from swinging my freaking sword. I will say that is another aspect of things, that sometimes there's so much crap on the floor, it kind of makes it difficult to run. It can be very little tricky. Here's more different kinds of traps right here. There's this rolling spike thing. Maybe I can lure enemies into this. Let's see if I can do that. Let's go ahead. And I just ran into a spike trap there. Okay, I'm going to see if I can run these guys in here. Ow! And I'll get shot in the ass. That always works out well. Alright, now they're going to run into it, and he's dead. There we go. Perfect. So you get, like I said, you can use the traps against your enemies. Kind of trick them. Son of a bitch. Trick them into running into traps. But yeah, graphically speaking, the game isn't bad. It isn't spectacular. It's cute. How about that? It works. You have this overhead view. I'm gonna free you. Don't attack me. All right, good. I was gonna say, don't be a dick. Let's see what we're looking around here for. Now, again, we're just looking again for just mostly the exit. We're not trying to fight everything if we don't have to. If we can find an enemy that we can just take out by ourselves here, that's great. By the way, you can't hit your allies, by the way. So, as you can see here, I just killed my own ally. Oh, apparently I can just beat the shit out of him. He doesn't die eventually. Apparently I can do no damage to him, so I can hit him as many times as I want. Oh, no, never mind. He dies. There you go. He's dead. That was stupid of me, but I just want to show you that I guess you can kill your own allies. There is somewhat of a little bit realism here. Good God. Dude, you're pissing me off, man. There's a little bit of realism in the fact that you have to kind of angle your shots and aim through your followers if you happen to have anything. One thing I will say is that I kind of wish I could pick up a bow or just had a different weapon sometimes, because this is kind of literally the only weapon you're going to get your hands on. Is the sword and shield. God dang it, man. I'm getting my spike up the butt. Ah, that's fine. Well, there's plenty of food that we can find littered throughout the level here. Now, that looks like it is probably the exit, or is this just a well? It looks like it's just a well. So let's see if we can find our way that way. And make our way to the next level here. I'm going to run as fast as possible, so that way I can hopefully show you a little bit later on content here. And that's, like, I will say that you will be doing a lot of retreading through areas. Even though they're all procedurally randomly generated, there's just a lot of going through the same levels over and over again. Gosh dang it, that was stupid of me. Which, you know, some people will be into, some people will not be. Some people will get a little bit frustrated by that aspect. When you start getting, like, you know, when you start getting an idea of what to do in the game, it doesn't take long to traverse through the levels. Even though the map isn't necessarily the most greatest tool in the world to figure out where to go, it doesn't take long to start, you know, just jamming through the levels. So we're going to have a boss event here, which is actually perfect because I'm right by a trap room. Whoops. And I could probably just sit here and actually just let the boss... Oh, never mind. Apparently this boss is different. Last time he was a bow dude. Alright, so come on, big guy. What do you got? You got nothing on me, man. You got nothing. Take your giant Thor hammer or whatever you are. Ow! Dude, you are such a pain. Okay, we're gonna run away. God dang, he's fast. What the hell? Okay. Oh my god, this guy is ridiculous. He's so fast. I'm dead. I think I'm dead right here, guys. I am in a corner. There is no escape. I'm being swarmed by enemies. Yep, that's it. That's what I mean by sometimes the game doesn't necessarily play too fairly. Like, for instance, I just had no way of getting out of that situation. The boss was just ridiculously kind of OP. Just smashed through my defenses. I couldn't hit him because his shield was up. And then I ran back and just ran to more, you know, enemies and kind of just got gridlocked. I used the traps against him. And it just seems like the game is just kind of actively, again, kind of working against me. In that case, I had to kill that boss to open that gate, so I really didn't have much of a choice. So I think that kind of gives you an example of what I mean. That sometimes, yes, it's a roguelike game, basically. It's going to be either fair to you sometimes, or it's just going to completely screw you over. And I find this game to be more leaning towards the screw you over side, more than playing fair side. When it comes to rogue games, you know, some rogue games, you know, are you know, always going to be kind of like, you know, you, like, for instance, Rogue Legacy always gives you a fair chance. You're always going to, you know, have a fair chance of beating a boss, or, you know, depending on your skill level, for instance. I'm just running through this level here trying to find my freaking sword or shield. And that's one thing that I will say that it can be also a little bit frustrating, is that you kind of have to always be looking for the sword and shield for the first level. That got a little bit tiresome. Okay, so I found that. Okay. Let's keep running along here. I think we didn't go this way last time. And, you know, it randomly places where the sword and shield will be at. So sometimes they'll be really close. And sometimes you'll find the exit to the level, but not find your sword or shield. There's my sword. There we go. Okay. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and collect 15 gold at the very least, so I can hopefully find the freaking buff I need to at least get a buff from that first well there. Now, I also did, however, see a chest somewhere over here. I'm not going to deal with the stupid prisoners. Not in the mood for that. Die, fool! There's also secrets hidden in the game that you can find sometimes that'll lead you, like, secret areas or maybe a secret buff. I'm not really sure, as I have yet to find one. Obviously, they're called secrets for a reason. Okay, that should be enough to get me the buff. Okay, cool. So we'll go ahead and head towards the exit now. That was the first level. Let's see if we can just storm through the second level and end this. Good God, stupid chest. Just get off me, man. All right, cool. Use that. Pay our toll. We got super combo here to hit more enemies at once. That's cool. I could at least see. I can probably hit somebody, multiple people at once. That'd be nice. That time it took me 2 minutes to beat that level. So you can see that like, the first time it took me 6 minutes. This time it took me 2. You just kind of want to speed run your way through the levels because most of the time there's not necessarily any benefit to kind of taking the time to smell the roses. Sound-wise, music-wise, the game is just fine. The music is good. The sound is fine. The controls are fairly intuitive. I just find myself getting stuck sometimes on just random clutter in the game itself, and that can be a little bit frustrating, but again, it's not necessarily anything that you just kind of need to be paying attention. If you're stuck on something, just jump over it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and ignore that. She's going to continue talking. I'm going to wail on this guy, kill him really quickly. Hopefully this time we can just... good grief. That was another example where I just got stuck right there. I'm just going to see if I can head straight for the exit, activate the boss. This is a dead end. Okay, we just ran through this room. So let's go this way. And then this way. And then this way. This looks promising. No, this is the beginning. I screwed up. Okay. Excuse me. Bye-bye. And I will say that it's kind of easy to sometimes get turned around in the game. Depending on which direction you try to head in. Let's go this way instead. Let's head straight forward. There we go. Now that should activate the boss. And hopefully we don't get that same boss again. Hopefully we get the, archer. There's two kinds of bosses that can usually spawn. When I played this, you can either get an archer or that guy with the huge-ass sword and shield who just rocked our world. Okay, now where is he, though? That's the question. Hello? Oh, there he is. Oh, great! Yeah, we're doomed. We're doomed. We're doomed. We're doomed. Run away! Run away! Oh my god. You can see here there's just infinite enemies are just spawning. Ah, I killed him though. I managed to get a lucky shot on him. And I killed him. Now I can make my way to the gate and get out of here. I'd love to pick up his giant ass sword though and leave. But I don't think that's going to be possible. There's a lot of gold. A lot of gold just laying around, which we'll go ahead and try to pick up here. I think I wish I could just find something that would just pick up the gold a little bit more easier and find it a little bit more difficult than it needs to be occasionally. But that's okay. Now we've beaten this guy. We'll make our way over here, activate this thing, get our buff. We got Serrated Blade, your blade cuts deeper and bloodier. That's some pretty good buffs so far. Basically, two buffs that kind of combine together very well. So we're going to keep heading forward here, but you get the basic idea of how the map itself works out, how the monsters work, how sometimes it could be fair and sometimes it could just screw you over depending on what's going on. I'm probably a little bit better of just kind of running around and trying to use the traps against the boss in that particular case. One thing the game desperately needs, and this is one thing that I will say it really, really desperately needs once we load into the next level here, because the game can take quite a while to beat. There's like 24 levels, I think, in one playthrough. There is no save and quit option. It desperately needs one because it takes a long time to play this game, and you're not going to be necessarily beating it rather that quickly. So as you progress forward and deeper into the game, you're going to start running into different kinds of elements, like doors that require, different colored keys, and you need to find the chests that have those keys in them. And also not to rely on traps would be really intelligent of me. Let's see if we can find one of those keys now. Okay. There is the exit, which is great, but I need to activate something locked behind one of these doors here for us to actually be able to do that. Now let's keep running around and hopefully we can find a friggin' key. Huh. Where the hell is that first blue key? Usually I think it's like blue, then green, then pink, as it were. Die, die, die. Okay, well. If I can't find the key here really quick, I'm probably just going to go ahead and end the video. Because I think it gives you a pretty good idea of what the game is like and what to expect. There's also the green bubbling cauldron here. I'm not really sure what that's for or what that does. But it is there. It could be possibly one of the secret things in the game for you to, interact with and deal with. I've heard of some bugs in the game. Like there's sometimes randomly procedurally generated areas that aren't necessarily going to have an exit. The game always tries to generate an exit, but sometimes you may get really unlucky and find an area that doesn't necessarily have one. Now this well requires 100 gold to activate. Now the wells do give bigger and better buffs as you get deeper into the game, but they require more and more money. So for instance, like that one cost 100. Eventually there's ones going to cost like 500, then 750, and there's ones that even cost like 1,000 gold. I don't know where the key is, so I think we're going to wrap up the video. I think that's pretty much it, guys. But yeah, it's a fun game. The sword plays good. I just sometimes wish there was a little bit of weapon... There's the key. A little bit of weapon variance that you could have just to change things up occasionally. And like I said, from what I understand, there is some weapon variance. It's just way later on in the game and not necessarily anywhere near the beginning. You could find like bigger and better weapons, but they're obviously very rare. Not in the mood right now, guys. I'm trying to get through the level as humanly fast as freaking possible. You're dead. You're a moron. Okay. Where is there a green door? The green door is over there. Not in the mood right now. Now you give me the pink key. Kill these guys. He's running away. That's perfectly fine. We now have access to the pink door area. And that will let me activate this thing right here, which is going to cause a veritable nightmare for us. Because now we have summoned the undead. And that is one thing I will say is really cool about the game. Is that the monsters will fight each other. You can basically kind of pit monsters against other players. This is one of the examples where you don't necessarily have to fight the boss. You can just grab your thing and get the hell out of there. And not have to deal with it. And that's just another example of, like I said, it's not necessarily about fighting, it's about surviving, guys. So to wrap up, guys, I think you are either going to love TinyKeep or you're going to hate it. It's one of those games, and I hate to use this phrase, but you're either going to get it, and I say that in quotations, or you're not. Some people enjoy the permadeath aspect of things. Some people don't. I don't mind it. I love roguelikes, but I will say that I felt sometimes I was battling the randomness of the game more than, getting better at the game itself. Like my skill didn't lack, just I got screwed over by crappy buffs or something like that. That wasn't in my control. Again, though, that is exactly what roguelike means, though. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it isn't. Obviously, replay value is through the roof here, guys. Between the normal game, which I can't beat, and the new game plus mode, you will get plenty of bang for your buck, guys. I didn't run into any bugs while playing the game. The game is very well put together and very, very nice to play. Like I said, there is that occasional bug that kind of generates no exit, but the developer is actively squashing those guys. I would suggest this game to any fan of roguelikes or people who don't mind starting over and over again. So big thanks to the developer and publisher for a chance to check this game out. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe and share, and I'll keep bringing you awesome games, guys. Till next time, play more indie games.